Hello, welcome to my workshop. My name is Bob Miller. My YouTube channel is Robert L. Miller. Today we're going to work on a belt sander from a ShopSmith. To get ready for today's project, I watched a couple of YouTube videos. The first one was from Scott Markwood. He has a YouTube channel called My Growth Rings. He actually has a whole series of YouTube videos that I find excellent if you're a ShopSmith owner. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. The second video I watched was by Nick Engler. He's with ShopSmith. They're quite old videos. The one on the belt sander is SS112 Belt Sander Tune-Up. I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. Nick Engler is a little bit like a bull in a china shop, but he has very useful information. I have owned 4 different ShopSmiths since the year 2000. If you've watched the video on my shop tour, you know all about those. All 4 were obtained used, and as such they came with a lot of different accessories. So I have multiples of many of the pieces of equipment. A lot of them need repair, and I've gotten frustrated trying to find ways to get them repaired. That's how these videos got started. This is my first ShopSmith. And here is the shop dog. And this is the belt sander that we're going to work on today. ShopSmith number 4 sits right over here. And you'll notice it has a belt sander on it as well. Before we work on today's project, let me tell you a little bit about this one. This belt sander came with ShopSmith number 1. I got it about the year 2000. It served me well for a long time, and then it needed a new belt. So I replaced it. How hard can that be? I've replaced many belts on many sanders. This is just another belt sander. Took the old one off, put the new one on, tightened with the tension knob right there, and it wouldn't work. So after fiddling with it for a while, I ended up contacting ShopSmith. ShopSmith's solution was for me to buy a new tension assembly and install it on my machine. I didn't do that. I decided to wait a while. And then I watched Scott Markwood's video on the belt sander. And I found out that to apply the tension, what I have to do is to turn the tension knob around about 3 times, allowing it to set each turn, and then punch the button and the tension will set. Well, guess what happened? You don't have to guess. This is what happened. ShopSmith wanted to sell me parts. And the truth of the matter was, it was all operator error. A lesson I learned: read the manuals, watch a few videos, don't assume that you know exactly what you're doing. Another thing that I learned from Scott Markwood in his videos is that there is supposed to be a bolt right there. Now, this belt sander didn't come with the bolt. That bolt actually came on the one we're going to work on today. Scott says that a lot of those bolts get lost and people don't know they're supposed to be there. My experience is that 50% of them get lost, and most new owners of used equipment don't know that it's supposed to be there. Now, unfortunately, Scott talks about the bolt, but he never shows it to you. He does say that it's just a standard bolt. So what I'm going to do is to pull it out and let you see what it looks like. Here it is, and it looks to me to be just a standard 2-inch carriage bolt with 2 washers and a nut. It's used to hold the belt sander in position once you have got it set to the place you want it to be, rather than just relying on the tightening knob. Assuming that I get today's belt sander working again, I'll just go down to the hardware store and pick up another, and I'll have bolts on both of them. I didn't have to worry too much about the bolt, because when I first started using this belt sander, I used to use it in a horizontal position all the time, and it stays very well in that position without the bolt. Then I discovered that I could do a lot of things by putting the table on the belt sander. It actually goes in 3 different positions, but that's the position that I like. You'll notice that I've got it not quite vertical, but kind of slanted back, but mostly vertical at this point. And that bolt certainly helps hold it in that position. You can get the table squared with the belt and do some amazing things with the sander at that point. Then I watched the video. That video was again by Nick Engler, along with a gentleman named Jim McCain. And it said that you can put your miter gauge on the table for the sander, and now you've effectively created 2 different level square planes that you can sand with. I haven't actually done a whole lot of that yet, but I sure intend to try. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. There's the shop dog waiting outside. This belt sander came with ShopSmith number 4. I recently purchased one. And I thought I was going to have an easy time with it because it looks like it's in really good shape. It didn't come with a belt on it, but that's okay. I've got belts. And I polished it. It's still got a little rust on it, but I was going to work on that again later. And I decided that I was not going to tear it apart because I didn't think it was necessary. Down here where it slides, there is some crud in there, but unlike Nick Engler said, I really think I could have cleaned that up without taking it apart. And then I tried to get a belt on. Well, the first thing you have to do is to tighten the tension knob. The only problem is it will not turn. And then I got to looking at it, and the whole mechanism is up way too high. If you look underneath, let me get under here, Let's see. You see that bolt? I don't know how well you can see, but it's not touching. It's setting up way too high. And I tried tapping on it a little with a rubber mallet. I cannot get it to budge down. And therefore I've decided that the only answer and the only solution to this is to take it apart. I've cleaned out the tray in my workbench, and I'm going to lay my parts out across in the order I take them off in. That way maybe I can remember to get them back in by working in reverse. The first thing that Nick Engler says I have to do is to take this part off. It takes a 9/16 wrench, and let's see if we can get it off. Helps if you turn the wrench the right way. Well, we may need a little persuasion. Well, the answer to this is it's threaded on both ends. And once you get the knob off, you have to get the nut and the washer and this little sleeve off of the other end. And then I would assume, and it does, the bolt comes right out. Nick says the next thing to do is to take off the platen, and he says to get it laying flat. I don't think I needed too much here because I don't think mine's got the washers he talks about underneath, but we'll see what's underneath here. A little rusty underneath here. I don't guess it matters. And he pulled some things off, and I don't see anything that's going to pull off here. I think it's all going to stay right there. Well, I got it down to this point, and I can see up in here a little better than I could before. And this side still flips around, but the tightening, well, no, we're still got something wrong with it, so I guess we keep taking it apart. The thing that he said to do next was to get these little medallions out of here. Well, yeah, here comes one. The little medallions do pop out to expose the nuts underneath, and they are spring-loaded and should pop right back in. Nick says these are 9/16 nuts again, so yes indeed they are. And he mentioned a lock washer that was down underneath it, so yes, it's there. And out comes the carriage bolt. Get my lock washer. See if we can get this carriage bolt out of here. Yep. Comes right out, and now I think this part just comes apart. Well, no, not exactly. Well, I think I've determined what my problem is. The drive roller, he leaves us attached over here, and I have to slide the frame off of here, and to do that, I gotta get my little drive wheel off. Okay, that came off, and now this whole thing should well, it's loose up here at this end, but why am I not loose down here at this end? It's rolling good. That's good news. Let me see if I can get in here and see what I got is my problem up here. I'm going to leave that attached down there and see what I can work with up here, because up here is where my problem is. Okay, what I found was that tensioning nut was way up higher than that. Maybe you can see that down below there's grunge on it, and up above it's shiny. I've lowered it by that amount to get it perhaps even with that one. And you can see that that one is still completely grungy. Now the tensioning knob is twisting, and this seems to be pretty level, so I'm hoping that I've solved my problem. I'm going to put it back together and we'll find out. Okay, we're back together. Let me tell you that getting these carriage bolts up through these tubes and out of this hole up here was a real challenge. I didn't tape it. It took me quite a while, but it is there. And let me show you here. I think the wheel is rolling, and indeed it will roll around and create tension. So I'm hopeful that I have made the repair and it's going to work properly now. It may not track just exactly right. I may have to work on that some more, but we'll see. I'm going to put it all back together. I'm not going to tape while I do that because I don't think it's necessary, but once I get it back together, we'll try slapping a belt on it and see what happens. Well, it's all put back together. I have turned it on. It seems to be rotating just fine. I haven't put a belt on yet, but I do have one problem. I have a part left over. I hate it when that happens. I've looked on the other machine. I can't find a part that looks like that. I don't remember taking that off of anything. But it's in my little tray over here. I guess I'll have to go watch my own video and see if I see me taking it off. Well, here comes the moment of reckoning. Let's see what happens. Well, the belt slipped on. One turn. Two turns. Three turns. Let's see if we can get a fourth. Four turns. Now then, push the little button. It puts tension on it. It needs tracking, but it looks like it may work. But it's tracking now. I ended up having to raise the entire tension mechanism up a little bit. That was obvious because I was able to get the belt on easily without twisting the tension knob. But it is tracking now, and everything seems to be fully operational. I think I'll call today a success. Maybe I'll tackle another project before too terribly long. I learned something today, and hopefully I helped you with your project as well. You have a great day. Remember our mystery piece? I'm going to put it right there.